Hello, this is Mr. Painter with another fabulous Quizzette tutorial. Today we're working on Wednesday on Quizzette 841. Alright, Wednesday it is, number 1. Number 1, find the missing value to make this equation true. We have y to the 6th power times something gives you y to the 12th power. This is something called the power rule. Power rule states 6 to the something gives you 12. Alright, today's colors, we did red, blue, let's go green. Let's see if we can see it. Yeah, we can see it. Works for me. Alright, so what this question is asking for is y to the 6th power times something gives you y to the 12th power. Well, two ways of doing it. You could look at it and figure out 6 times what gives you 12, or the opposite of multiply is divide, and I'll tell you what it is. So y to the box equals 12 divided 6 is y to the 2nd. So therefore, the 2nd power is the correct solution to that question. Number 2, find the missing value to make this equation true. We got 4 to the something times 4 to the 2, close parentheses, to the 2nd power equals 4 to the 16th power. So think about yesterday and Monday. What is the first step towards working this problem up? So what would you do? How would you set it up? That's right. It sounds like what you want to do is you want to add these two together times that 2 to get 16. So let's do that. So let's worry about the question mark, the 2, and the 16. Because all the base are the same anyways. They're all 4s. Alright, we got to fill in what's missing. So inside the parentheses, we have the rule of addition because they're inside. So we're going to add that question mark and the 2 together inside the parentheses. Now, because the second 2, because notice there's 2 2s, there's a 2 there and a 2 there. Now, because the second 2 is on the outside, that's multiplication, because normally what we do is something called a distributive property, multiply, multiply. But you know what? Outside the parentheses, we can get them all the same by just times 2. Equals, that's 16 there. Alright, so we're going to ask ourselves, something plus 2, close the parentheses, times 2 gives you 16. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down this times 2 by taking the opposite. Divide 2 on both sides. Divide 2, divide 2. So now we got something plus 2. The other 2's cancel out because it's division, equals 16 divided 2 is 8. Now it kind of just got a lot easier. Well, something plus 2 must give you 8. I wonder what that could be. Yes, if I just take the opposite of adding 2, subtract 2, well, question mark equals 8 minus 2 is 6. So 6 is the missing value to make this equation true. Now, you can go and check it, because watch what happens. 6 plus 2 is 8, and 8 times 2 is 16. So check that 6 is absolutely correct. Alright, moving forward. Let's do it. Number 3. What is the product of the equation below? And you heard right, the word product. So that means here, multiplication. So product is multiplication. So multiplication. kind of a tricky word to sound out and spell out, but it's not bad. Multiplication, or you call it multiply. But just know that you're multiplying and not looking for adding or the sum. Okay, so thinking about Monday and Tuesday. In your mind, what is the very first step to finding the product of the equation below? What would you do? And yeah, that's right. You knew. You're going to multiply the 4 and the 9.6 together. So we got 9.6 times 4. Not bad, not bad. All right. So we have 4 times 6 is 24. Carry the 2. 4 times 9. 4 times 9, 4 times 9. 36 plus another 2 is 36 plus 2 is 38. So I'm getting 384. But you know what? 384 sounds way too big. It's huge. Because for 9.6 times 4, it just doesn't seem right. So what do you think is wrong with the 384? Yeah, the 384, the decimal is going to move over 1. So decimal is going to move over 1 there, and decimal is going to move over 1 there. Oh, 38.4 makes a lot more sense. So we got 38.4 times 10. Remember the rule with the exponents. What was that rule for the exponents when we bring them down? I think I heard you say it. Yeah, that was it, right? 4 plus 5. So you're going to add the exponents because they're both inside the parentheses. So let's go and make that adjustment. So we got 38.4 times 10 to the 4 plus 5 is the 9th power. Now, we got one more issue. One more issue. What do you think would be that last issue? Think about it, think about it, think about it. What would that be? That's correct. You got to move the decimal over one place. Now, if you move the decimal one place to the left, you better add 1 to the exponents. And therefore, 3.84 times 10 to the 10 is absolutely the final correct answer in this time. Number 4. What is the sum of the equation below? So we got 5.8 times 10 to the 4th power plus 3 times 10 to the 2nd power. If it is asking for the sum, I'm going to circle the word sum because I don't want to get that mixed up with the word product from the last one. Sum, we need to add the two together. It even tells you right there. You got to add them up. So, what would you do as your first step towards adding? That's right. You're going to stay inside the parentheses and move that decimal over. So you got 5.8. And that 4th power right there means move the decimal 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So fill in what's missing. 1, 2, and only 3 zeros. So now I got 58,000. 58,000. So, and to make this more proper, that decimal we don't want there. So 58,000. So 58,000, comma there. Okay, that's good. Plus 3, and that decimal goes over 2 times. So 1 and 2 times there. So we got 58,000 plus 300. Now, the reason why we get these is, for an example, this right here, 3 times 10, really means 3 times 10 times 10. And if you want to do this one over here, that is 5.8 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. That's what's happening. But I'd rather move the decimal over than take a calculator out and do that times 10 times 10 times 10 because it's too much work. And those of you in the back of the classroom that are having a hard time seeing, there we go, super zoom there. So I just added those times 10 in there. Okay, so next step, what would you do? Take a look at it right now. Because remember, you got to ask yourself, how do you do this? Because that's what's going to be important to you next week. And if you said add, that's right, because right here it says add, so that's good. So here we go. We got 58,000, 1, 2, 3, plus 300. The key here is line up on the right side. So now adding straight down, we got 0, 0, 3, 8, 5. So we got 58,000, comma, 300. And the comma just represents the thousandths place. So that's very common in mathematical notation. Use the comma to represent that that movement. Okay. Looking good, looking good. Now we need to convert this back to scientific notation. So if we got 58,000 here, this beautiful 58,000, hey, wait a minute, there is no decimal here. So how do you go to scientific notation without a decimal? And if there isn't one, where is it at? And it sounds like you remember from last week, the decimal, if it's not there, is automatically on the far right. Why? Because, for instance, if you have $1, look at that beautiful one. It's the same thing as, guess what? $1.00. So that decimal was there the whole time on the right, but you drop it because it's automatically assumed that it's already there. That's just the way it goes. So that decimal for scientific notation needs to go 4 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. So now we got 5.83 times 10 to the 1, 2, 3, fourth power, because look, 1, 2, 3, 4 times to the left is 10 to the fourth power. And actually, I'm not happy with the notation that I just wrote. It's right, but see how the 4 looks too big? So I'm going to shrink up the 4 and put it more in the sky. There we go. So 5.83 times 10 to the fourth power is the sum of the equation that you noticed above. Man, what a gorgeous, most beautiful-ist problem I've ever seen. Just teardrop to my eye. It's beautiful. All right, number 5. Select all the following that are equivalent to 2 to the negative 9 times 2 to the 7th, all inside the parentheses, to the second power. These are kind of fun. It's like a puzzle. You just got to figure out, well, which ones are correct. So what I start doing is start using steps and breaking it down. So on this one, I just rewrite it because I need room to work it out. So 2 to the negative 9 times 2 to the 7th times 2 on the outside. So remember on the inside is you add them. You add on the inside, multiply on the outside. So what you really have is 2 to the negative 9 plus 7, I'm going to put this little set of parentheses there, times 2. So one more time, if it's inside the parentheses, you're adding exponents if the base is the same. And the 2 on the outside just leaves it on the outside. So here we go. Negative 9 plus 7. It appears the negative is bigger on the larger number. So this number has to be negative. All right, so we're going to fatten up this pencil that way everybody can see. All right, so let's do this. So we got 2. There we go, much better. Negative 9 and plus 7 is actually negative 2 times 2. So now I'm there. Now, 2 to the negative 2 times 2, wow, that's a lot of 2's. It's 2 to the negative 4. So 2 to the negative 4. And because we have a negative, we need to turn that into a positive fraction. So 2 to the positive 4. And keep going. We got 4 2's. So we got 1 over 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And you just do it. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 1 over 16. Now that right there should be able to answer most of our questions to the left. So let's start with M. At any time did we have a 2 to the negative 1? And as I look through it, I don't see a 2 to the negative 1 anywhere. So no, the 2 to the negative 1, I'm saying that's out. Never happened. 2 to the negative 2 came close, which was right here, but 2 to the negative 2 times 2 is not the exact same problem as here. So I'm calling out on that one. Negative 4, never saw it. Now P, 1 over 16 is the final answer. So that one does work, but keep in mind we're looking at select all. So remember the directions right here? We're looking at select all the following that are equivalent. So look at that. 1 over 8 isn't right because 1 over 16 is not the same. So 1 over 8 fails. Now, last one, R. You just work that one out and see if it happens to work out. So you got 2 to the 5 minus 7. Well, last time I checked, 2 to the 5 minus 7 is 2 to the negative 2, which actually was the same thing as N, which also did not work. In this particular problem, P is the only one that works for that reason. Last one, number 6. How many times greater, it's got the laser of fun, how many times greater is 2 times 10 to the 7th than 2 times 10 to the 4th? This problem today is actually written correctly, so we can go from there. It's fine. All right. Well, what we need to do is write it out. So I would write 2 times 10 to the 7th power. So we got 2 with 7 zeros. So let's do 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, the reason why I know it's 7, because I'm taking the decimal, which is just after the 2, and going 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that works. Versus 2 to the 10 to the 4. So decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Versus 20,000. Man, I just sounded like I was rich right there. $20,000. I'll be all happy. I'll share some with you guys. Don't worry. I'll give you % of the cut. All right, so divide it out. 2 divide 2 is 1, and start eliminating zeros. So that 0 cancels out with that 0, out with that 0, out, 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 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3. So 1,000 times greater. 1,000 times greater is your solution. Thank you. And this concludes the Quizzette for Wednesday, 8/41.